As of 2020, we're seeing upwards of a 40% increase in calls to local poison control centers as a result of the improper use of cleaning and disinfecting chemicals. You mix bleach and ammonia, you get mustard gas. That actually happened at a Buffalo Wild Wings in New York, and somebody died. Yeah, you create a chemically altered water that has this amazing ability to kill all germs. So we didn't care where we went.
Right.
But senior living has a tremendous need for our technology.
Everyone, this is the CAREpreneur Show, and today I got a really special guest. We are actually in Nashville, Tennessee at the Bridge the Gap Ignite Conference. I got Daniel Lawson here, and he is going to be talking about his journey as an entrepreneur in kind of the senior living field.
Yeah.
And so I mean, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone
Sounds
here, Daniel?
good.
So go ahead and Daniel Lawson. I know that. I got that part. You know?
No, thanks. Yeah, so I'm the president of business development and co-founder of Viking Pure Solutions. We're a cleaning innovation company that's dedicated to removing toxic chemicals from senior living communities.
So I can imagine, like, with COVID and everything going on, like that probably like exploded and you know that side of the business. But before we like talk about what it is that you do today,
Sure.
I think what's interesting is always hearing how people end up where they are and
Cool.
What brought them there. So kind of give us that little background. I mean, I'm not sure if you went to school for a certain thing, if you had big plans that you were going to do something and all of a sudden you fell into this, or how that worked. But
Listen, I mean, I appreciate you asking. I always enjoy answering questions like this. I was born and raised into an entrepreneurial family. My dad was fortunate to be on the front end of a handful of very successful endeavors, and it kind of always ingrained the lifestyle and the skill set and the dedication that it takes to be a successful entrepreneur, and kind of what that means. So I've always been very motivated by that. Actually, my parents still tease me and talk about the times that I used to walk around the neighborhood and sell like rocks that I would find, that had fool's gold on them to neighbors. One of our favorite things to do.
It's always that sales. That's
totally. Yeah. One of our favorite things to do was to be able to order pizza on our own. When we sold enough rocks, we were able to do
hilarious,
that.
Man. I guess kids can sell rocks. I guess kids can sell anything, man. It's like hard to say no to a kid.
100%. But no, I went to school in Philadelphia. I live in the Northeast. I went to a school called Lasalle University.
Okay.
I was involved with a pretty interesting program there that really kind of tied the science and the business worlds together. It's called Integrated Science, Business, and Technology. It's a unique program to LaSalle U. Just a little plug there. But I went there specifically for that program. I had aspirations when I was young, kind of coming out of high school, to get into pharmaceutical sales. In like the early 2000s, that was like the hot job to have. So that was my goal, really, coming into school. And this program allowed me to get enough access to the kind of the scientific world, but still understanding the basics of business, sales, marketing. And I really tried to tailor that approach to the pharmaceutical industry as I was graduating and coming out. I was successful. I landed my first job with Pfizer Pharmaceuticals coming out. Sold there for a few years, and just navigated through the pharmaceutical and medical device space for about 12 years.
Wow.
Before I was fortunate enough to be introduced to the technology.
And with pharmaceuticals, I mean, were you traveling the country? Were you based out of Philadelphia still? Or?
Yeah, still based out of the Philly, kind of mid-Atlantic region. But yeah, worked with some great companies, some very innovative companies, companies that were started in garages, and still, I was always very attracted to the smaller companies. Pfizer was a short stint. You kind of dealing with like the elephant in the room with that large company and what it's associated with working with large companies. But after I left there, I'd always associated with much smaller companies where I felt like I could, have a say in what was going on.
Make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of spurred, ongoing entrepreneurial efforts. I think that any entrepreneur would tell you that they've had multiple business ideas that have either succeeded or potentially failed. Before they found their true calling. I had a bunch of those, man. I've got business plans written up at home from everything from different types of apps to food delivery services. We've tried to think about it all.
And that's the hardest part. I think that the biggest downfall as an entrepreneur is like the squirrel effect. It's just like, because you get this creative mind and you want to make this change, you want to make a difference, and every day you're coming up with maybe a new idea, and like it's like, dang, man, which one do I pick?
True. But for me, like, the underlying motivation is always autonomy. I always wanted to be able to have control over my life, over like the hours that I was willing to dedicate towards work versus, a work-life balance, which, is extremely important to me. It's important to my family. And, you have denying support, in regard to all of the efforts that I've ever undertaken, but my priorities have always had to be straight. And I never could feel like they were if I didn't have complete autonomy over my schedule.
Right.
So that's always been the biggest. I wanted it to be for me, for my family, for my support network, and not necessarily for, the proverbial man, if you will.
Right. So what inspired you to start, Viking Pure Solutions? I mean, what was?
It's been an unbelievable experience, but it all started kind of by accident, just like you kind of hear a lot of things, happening for people. My experience in med device sales gave me exposure to a handful of different technologies. Although I was focused in one market for a majority of the time that I was selling in med device, I was always looking for unique opportunities and technologies to kind of attribute to my brand, and I was fortunate to discover a product that was used as a wound debridement solution for patients with like diabetic foot ulcers or chronically infected sores. Physicians would use this solution called hypochlorous acid, HOCl for short, to wash a wound of all germs and fungus, mold, just all kinds of different things. This solution could kill those things, but not hurt the host. Basically pouring bleach on a wound, but not burning or causing any type of irreversible damage. And I couldn't believe that something like that existed. I'd never heard of it.
Well, I feel like just the fact that it has like the last name Acid, like probably is like the one.
I still deal with that objection today. People are like, you want us to clean with an acid?
Okay. We need to change the last.
Interestingly, Chris, I mean, hypochlorous acid is actually a solution that your body naturally creates. Your white blood cells, when they see a pathogen. This is where
we're getting deep in the science.
Yeah, well, a little bit, but it's good to know, right?
It's very interesting.
Yeah, so HOCl is found in our white blood cells, and when you have a germ or a cut or something like that invading your body, your white blood cells release this solution called hypochlorous acid to fight an invading pathogen. So
interesting.
They had basically bottled this stuff and were using it as a wound debridement solution. So I took that home and I started doing some of my own research, and I started to see YouTube videos of people in Germany and in Japan utilizing this technology to create solutions to clean and disinfect environmental spaces.
Wow.
And they were using it in ways that we are all kind of familiar with now as a result of 2020. But prior to 2020, the thought of fogging or spraying disinfectant into the air was pretty novel. But with a hypochlorous acid solution or a Viking Pure solution, you can do that safely. And I was amazed by that. I was amazed by the efficiency afforded to, with just using basic ingredients like water, salt, and electricity to generate solutions, and then being able to use them in ways that pose no risk to the environment or to the people that were
applying. Is that what, I can't say the
hypochlorous acid.
Hypochlorous acid. Is that what it is?
It is,
water and salt?
Water, salt, and electricity. So what happens inside of
but like in the debridement solution, isn't it in like a bottle?
It is. So it's a pre-made solution of combining basically those things. They pour it in a bottle it, and would sell it.
So how does it maintain its electricity?
So the electrical component is just necessary for what they call the ionization of the sodium chloride or the salt. So what happens is salt and water mix together. They come in contact with a very specific current of electricity, and that salt ion separates into its two main ions, sodium and chlorine. Those are then added to fresh streams of water, and you get these two byproducts of each other.
Wow,
so
that's pretty wild.
Yeah, you create a chemically altered water that has this amazing ability to kill all germs.
That's amazing. And it's natural.
It's completely natural.
Salt and water.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And electricity.
It's amazing. So, selfishly, when I learned about this technology, just like any, I think, entrepreneur would, you leverage your network and your references and the people that support you. And somebody very close to me, my father, had been involved in senior living for a significant amount of time. Yeah. And when I found this technology, he was one of the first people that I went to, and I said, "Listen, Dad. I mean, I understand that every year flu and norovirus are a tremendous challenge, and keep in mind this is post or pre-2020. This is back in 2015, 2014. Right. I was asking him about the yearly challenges associated with flu and norovirus, and if he had ever heard of a technology like this, and the way that I had seen it being used so proactively and liberally around people, I just couldn't help but think that, in a senior population, this could be a good fit.
Right.
So he was able to introduce me to fellows, at his company and to others in the industry. And, we approached them to really just to see if this was a technology that could truly support their needs.
Right.
So it was very early in the process. And these machines were literally being built in somebody's garage, but we got there.
If the entrepreneurial journey does not start in the garage, it's not real.
No, you're right. It's got to be in somebody's like hot, sweaty garage. This happened to be in Port Orange, Florida, but we put a couple of these units in, and we started to track the metrics. We were looking at how effective we were at cleaning surfaces at microscopic levels. We were tracking flu rates and norovirus rates, and we were seeing unbelievably significant improvements in clinical outcomes. And all the while, we were able to remove the plethora of chemicals, toxic chemicals that they were using to clean and disinfect with. These communities literally had 12 to 14 different toxic chemicals that they were cleaning and disinfecting with, that they were then able to completely replace with a product that was generated on site in unlimited amounts and just safe.
Yeah, it's amazing. So like at what point were you like let me turn this into a phone, let me jump ship, let me step away from that comfy salary and
what a great question. So when I started Viking Pure with 2 other business partners, I still had a day job.
Gotcha.
I still had that guarantee.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Did your other partners have that?
Absolutely.
So you guys are all kind of like, this is like a side hustle.
It totally was, just really trying to figure out if this thing could have legs. And I struggled with that, Chris, for a long time, about almost 3 years.
Wow.
Of working this, and it was long hours. It was a lot of commitment, like in the off time of those commitments for the day job to commit to Viking Pure. And just in full transparency, I prayed on it a lot. Trying to find when was the right time to make the jump, when was the right time to to commit wholeheartedly. And that decision was made very easily for me, believe it or not. In early 2019, the company that I was working with was going through some challenges, and they laid off a lot of people. And I happened to be one of those people. I got a call one day, and my prayers were answered.
It was like, God, I know, right? Isn't it funny how God answers prayers sometimes?
He kicked me right off that cliff.
I know, right? Dude, I've been trying to tell you, man. Finally, here you go. That's what happens sometimes. I feel like it's like you're sitting there like waiting for the sign, and then it's like when you don't when the sign's there and you're like ignoring it or you're coming up with excuses, maybe that isn't the sign. He just finds a way to make it happen.
Kicked me right off the cliff, and all of a sudden we were all in. And the timing was amazing. So this was
what year was this?
This was in April of 2019.
Oh wow, dude!
So
who would have ever thought?
We had no idea what was coming.
No, I know. That's what I'm trying to say. Talk about timing, brother. That's crazy.
And to think if I wouldn't have been kicked off the cliff at that point, there's no way
that you would have gone all in on it.
And there's no way we would have been prepared for 2020.
100%.
Which was something that for those 8 months, not knowing what was going to happen, we had an unbelievable dedication to hiring, R&D development, getting these machines into the field and making sure that they were going to be reproducible, reliable. And then the world changed.
So then how was that? Because was that a roller coaster ride for you guys? Meaning were you plugged in even enough at that point to take full advantage of that? Opportunity? And I hate to say
I know what you mean,
advantage of it, but my point is that you are a solution to a big problem that we have.
I know exactly what you mean. We were. We obviously were struggling with the same type of small business scalability challenges that any company would, but we had the right pieces in place, but we also got exposed a little bit too. The economy shut down, and regardless of our ability to create this product that had this unbelievable demand,
it's like who are you gonna go market to, or
it's who are we gonna get our supplies from? Who are we going to? How are we gonna build these machines? How are we gonna get them out? We weren't able to visit any communities. We considered ourselves frontline workers because we were out there. We were still servicing and ensuring that things were working, training. Accessibility became a significant challenge for us, and it was hard for us to give the level of attention and service that we think is necessary for such a paradigm shift at a community level, away from using products that you rely on. You've been buying maybe from the same guy for the last 15 years. Now we got this weird machine that like is hooked up to the water. And
I know. Yeah, and you know what's so funny? Like, as much as like I've become so much more health conscious over the years, and like the only one I still cannot like completely get rid of is bleach. Like
I know.
For, like the shower, like making it.
You like the smell a little bit.
Yeah,
you know
I do. I know.
It's like
I'm like hooked on it, man. It's
yeah.
Like, I know it's clean. You know, like.
Oh man, I tell you.
It's like maybe if you can find a little scent that you can add to your.
Well, surprisingly, like bleach and hypochlorous acid are in the same family.
Gotcha.
So bleach, just not to get too over the top, but bleach is a product that is basically like a preserved HOCl. So when you add water to bleach, you bring the pH of sodium hypochlorite down, and through chemistry, it transitions to hypochlorous acid. So the main active killing ingredient in bleach is HOCl.
Wow.
We've just encapsulated the ability to create pure HOCl.
Right.
Without
the toxic
component of it.
So like now, I mean, just kind of the way you look at like the future of your company. I mean, like, what is your primary role, compared to like maybe your partners, and like how's it all set up?
So I'm very much on the front end of the company, on the business development side.
So kind of the building strategic relationships with
managing our sales channels, working through our marketing, our messaging, our content creation. All of our customer interaction, training, education,
and really the connection to senior living was through your dad.
That's how it started. This whole started through really a combined vision from me and my two business partners to create a cleaner future through the removal of toxic chemicals. We didn't care where we went, but senior living has a tremendous need for our technology.
Sure, especially when you got like a lot of variables, immune system compromises, like all this stuff, like having toxins,
it's a problem,
like around people that are maybe suffering in other ways.
Get this. So as of 2020, we're seeing upwards of a 40% increase in calls to local poison control centers as a result of the improper use of cleaning and disinfecting chemicals.
Wow.
So we've got people out there that are trying to do the right thing.
Right.
They're trying to create a safe environment.
Right.
But they're doing it in a way that can potentially cause an unbelievably toxic situation.
Where you mix bleach and some other chemical, and next thing you know, you got like a serious toxin.
I mean, you mix bleach and ammonia, you get mustard gas. And that actually happened in late 2019 at a Buffalo Wild Wings in New York, and somebody died.
That's wild. Wow.
Yeah, it's scary. I mean, it's a real issue, and now everybody's talking about air quality and the improvements that are needed in air quality. And you see the ionization machines, you see the HEPA filters being added to, HVAC, systems. What they're not talking about in regard to air quality is the constant supply of dangerous chemicals that we're putting into the air through aerosol, through fogging, through different things. So we're just so passionate about educating but also showing that there's this technology. Like, we didn't invent this for the first time. We do have a patent on our technology, but the concept and what this technology is actually called is electrolyzed water. This goes back over 60 years. They've been using this in industries for forever. Our patent is unique, though. We in 2014 filed, and we were awarded for removing salt from the final solution. So although it requires salt to generate our product, there's no salt in the final solution. So when you consider an environment like this beautiful hotel that we're in today, or a senior living community,
because you don't want to rust out the tables
or bleach surfaces, or leave any residues on surfaces, we alleviate a lot of those concerns. They just people need to understand that something as safe as it is can be also as effective.
So we gotta come up with a new name. We gotta rebrand it.
Listen, I mean,
how all these medications, they have like the real name you can't pronounce, and they have like a
hypochlorous acid, and then what you have is Viking Pure Disinfectant. That's our brand, and you will find that brand on the EPA list of registered hospital grade disinfectant. So awesome. Amazingly, the simple product that comes out of this machine that you can literally drink can also be found on the EPA list of hospital grade disinfectants.
It's amazing. So when you think about like the future, then what does that hold for you? What are you most excited about? What are you most passionate about? What do you see the company 5-10 years from now?
Oh man, what a great question. So I see Viking Pure honestly as a beacon of education and of the promotion of safe practices associated with cleaning and disinfecting. I think we see creating a pure future,
Right.
through this. I don't think the chemical companies are going to love us, I mean,
Right.
I think there's always going to be kind of
course.
that inherent.
I mean, like it's like who loves Tesla, right? Like,
Right.
if you're GM and Ford, you're like, yeah,
These little guys are coming up
man.
really showing us how to do things.
I know, yeah.
We want to initiate change. So, our goal, over the next 5 to 10 years is to transfer this sense of urgency that we have,
Right.
every day, to get out, to educate, to make people feel like they're doing the best for their fellow employees, for
Right.
their residents, for their students, for whomever is kind of working in these environments. We want those that aren't necessarily cleaning, because I think sometimes those are forgotten individuals
Right.
at the lowest levels, but those that maybe at the executive levels feel this sense of urgency to create a safer environment and open themselves to being educated on technologies like this.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I love it, brother.
Thanks,
I'm excited for what you're doing, man. It's an amazing, just because you're making a difference, you're doing good, and you're also solving the problem of creating sterile or environment. So
Thank you. No,
awesome.
I appreciate this platform. The feelings are 100% reciprocated. You're doing an amazing job.
Trying.
Please.
One day at a time. It's just we gotta find more and more like younger people like you and like a lot of people at this Ignite conference to come join the industry in whatever capacity that might be. It might be software, might be cleaning products, might be care options, but whatever that might be. It's just it's awesome to see people that are excited and engaged in the future of senior care.
Likewise. No, it feels good to be a part of what feels like a large family that are all committed to to our seniors. I mean, that's our parents.
100%, man.
So no, but thank you, and thank you for what you do, man.
No, absolutely. So if you haven't already, make sure you check out Daniel Lawson's contact information, or just we'll make sure that it's below in the description. Viking Pure Solutions.
Yes.
And if you have any questions on how you can keep your place I guess disinfected and sanitary and toxic free.
Yes.
Then make sure you reach out to Daniel Lawson with Viking Pure Solutions. Thanks so much.
Thank you all so much.
Appreciate you being here, brother.
Have a wonderful day. Yeah, thank you.
See y'all later. I thank you guys so much for making it to the end of this video. You guys are awesome. If you'd like to watch last week's episode, make sure you click here. If you'd like to watch more fun and exciting episodes on Senior Care, click here. And if you'd like to learn more, stay in touch. Go to chrischana.com for the latest tips in the senior care business for the entrepreneurial spirited person that loves seniors and business. Thank you guys so much for joining. Have a great day, and let's get back to work.